Tony Saig is a Fox News contributor. Leslie Marshall, Fox News contributor and syndicated radio talk show host. All right, Leslie, so there were two interviews where the senator was a little snippy with females. I don't know if that was just, you know, the time of day or whatever. I'm not saying that it's a gender thing. But does he get in difficulty if he continues to be testy, or is this a mainstream media thing?
I don't think it's a mainstream media thing, and he does seem to be more testy with women. The problem for Rand Paul is when you're running for president, we're in an age where even if you were born in this country, you got to prove that you were and provide your birth certificate. So what you said in the past cannot be off limits, which he seems to think. He has a disastrous past with civil rights, has not said where he stands with abortion rights regarding rape and incest, and this is a guy that can't decide whether Iran is truly a threat or not. So if you're going to say one thing and then do another, or change your mind and flip-flop, the press, male or female, are going to hold you accountable, and he's going to have to answer those questions.
Well, what do you make of it,
And he
Tony?
better learn to get his temper in check.
Tony, were they fair questions? Because he has changed his stance. A lot of politicians have. Flip-flop is a term that we've all come to love and hate. But, you know.
Fair questions, for sure.
But, yeah, fair questions. Okay. What about his reaction?
Absolutely. Look, his reaction was certainly not, I think, preferable for him, but he's not going to have a long-term problem with it. Rand Paul happens to be a fairly adept communicator, very good at public presentation. Who knows what particular reason led him to answer that way? Nothing to do with gender, by the way. I think most fair and objective people can admit that. Right. The shorter-term problem for Rand Paul is he has something that should be a very positive news cycle now competing with a very negative storyline. And again, Gretchen, you bring up very correctly, there are inconsistencies in his positions, certainly ones on the right that people are concerned about as they relate to his positions on Iran, foreign policies, and national security. So he has to be prepared for that type of real tough judgment and treatment that he's going to get. But don't forget, Republicans But Republican primary voters like their candidates to take on the mainstream media. Gingrich benefited from a very similar tactic in South Carolina in 2012.
I want to move on to this. Relations between Russia and the U.S. becoming increasingly tense in real life, even on TV. For season 3 of House of Cards, the political drama on Netflix, one of the main themes focusing on America's diplomatic distrust of Russia and the resurgence of that country on the world stage. So, Leslie, is this true? Because look we've got Viktor Petrov as the leader of Russia on House of Cards. We have Vladimir Putin in real life. Are we heading to another Cold War?
I don't think we're headed toward another Cold War. Certainly there are similarities if you look at positions with regard to the Europeans and nuclear weapons, the United Nations, NATO, that type of thing. Clearly, even the Pussy Riot has said that this character in House of Cards is more of a little czar than Putin, which is surprising coming from them. But, you know, yes, it's very common for television or Netflix online programming like this to copy from real life. But no, I don't think that's foreshadowing where we're going in real life.
Do you think so, Tony?
I think it's already telling the story of what's really happening in the world today. Very serious people, by the way, Gretchen, who I talk to are very familiar with Eurasian policy, our long-standing conflicts with Russia, the Soviets, back during the Cold War. Think we already are in some sort of tacit Cold War. Don't forget, this is an American president, and I get no pleasure from having to say this. I'm here in Philadelphia, where we all root for Rocky Balboa over the Soviet boxer Drago. So when it comes to Russian-American relations, every American's on the American president's side. But unfortunately, in this instance, this president has failed at every turn to keep a very aggressive, a very totalitarian Putin in check, whether it's the annexation of Crimea, missile defense in Eastern Europe, or what we see now in
Russia's
Syria.
Involved in everything, in Iran, in Syria, etc., China even.
With long-standing implications,
Tony and Leslie, we'll see how it plays out. Thanks much.